This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information.
What's going on, everybody? Crispy Bacon here, and welcome to the regular season finale of the NFL 2024 season. I am here with Big D. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Off to work. So you guys give me for about a half hour, but big game Sunday as a lot of teams are playing for playoff spots. One game in particular is playing for a first round bye and the division title, which I know we'll break down before I get off. But outside that, it is a great Sunday here in Minnesota.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Should be a fun one. I'm also here with James. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, that's pretty much the only game I'm looking forward to, and I know there's other seedings that haven't been settled yet. We have one division also in the NFC that hasn't been settled yet, so we'll go through them all.
Yeah, we will indeed. While you're here, Big B, let's talk about that Minnesota-Detroit game. Like you said, a lot on the line. Division title for the North. You also have the number one seed, on the line. Who do you think's going to win that game? What do you think's going to happen?
Man, me being working at a casino, I would not want to put money on this game because It is going to be a big battle. Both teams deserve it. Vikings were predicted only to win 5-6 games. Here they are battling for a first round bye. The Lions were the pick of the litter. They were supposed to win it all in some eyes. So they're battling. They're battling injuries. The Lions have had so much bad history. I mean, they deserve this game too. It is, as a fan standpoint of Vikings, yes, I want the Vikings to win. I want this game to be a good game. I want this to be a game that we're going to talk about 10 years from now. That, man, what were you doing when the Vikings and Lions played for the number one seed? Man, what about that play? What about this? What about Jefferson going off? What about Brown going off? What about the quarterbacks just throwing it up there, the running game? I mean, I want this game to have everything. I want a punt return, kick return, interception return. Let's go into overtime. Let's go into 2 overtimes. And that's the mindset too is, as the team, do you go all out because, one team's going to get a bye, the other team's going to play probably next Saturday. So how much do you put into it? It is a division game. It is for the first round bye, for the division, for bragging rights in the division. This game's going to be a hype game. This is, I don't want to compare it to the Super Bowl, but man, this could be the game of the year, especially for the regular season. Maybe I'm overhyping it, but as a fan, I'm going with the Vikings. But you give me an overtime game, you give me a game that comes down to the last drive, last few seconds. I honestly don't care who wins. I mean, both teams are in, yes, but both teams deserve the first round bye. Both teams deserve the division. So let's go. Let's make it 7 o'clock already.
Yeah, it's gonna come quick. James, what's your thoughts on this one? And also keep in mind that the team that loses goes all the way down to the 5th seed.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat right there. That's of course never been done. That we're gonna have a 14 win fifth seed. It just shows you how tough the North has been this year. Even Green Bay was in that for a little bit. Chicago was at the start, but they haven't won ever since the Hail Mary. And I have no idea what to expect. All I know is I don't know if it's true or not, but I read the Vikings paid for tickets on their sideline, and they're inviting season ticket holders to go.
Yep.
That makes me feel like a college atmosphere. You know how they have all these bowl games, and you get a percentage of tickets for your university at the neutral site. It feels like that. It feels like a high school game. The way that they're treating this, and in a good way though. So this is just an awesome. We think about the rivalries of the Packers and the Bears, Packers Vikings, but it's great to see the Lions and the Vikings come out and have their time. I think this year, what was it earlier? The Lions won on a field goal in Minnesota.
Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked if we see the same thing. The only thing is, I wonder though how the Lion defense will hold up against the Vikings offense, because
that is the big question, because the Lions are hurting big time on defense. The Vikings are excelling on offense. I think the battle is going to come on the opposite side. I think it's going to come down to the Vikings defense versus the Lions offense on who can control that field. But James, like you said, last game was on a field goal. This game, who knows? The one key factor is going to be that Lions crowd. Can the Vikings control that crowd noise? We know it can get loud. So, to me, the Vikings are going to have to do a little Cobra Kai there. They're going to have to strike quick and strike often.
Man, the Viking defense, they've been actually playing very well as of late. And then Lions are just trying to hold people together to play. So it's going to be amazing. The offenses should be great. It should be a high-scoring game, but it's going to come down to the final, last minute or so, I believe. If we're predicting it, I'll probably go with, you know what? I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think they score enough points to win. It'd be interesting if they get Aaron Jones going on the ground more. I think that's going to be an X factor, because you know what they do in the air, but the running game hasn't been as potent as it used to be. So if they get that going, they're sure to win tonight.
So, question before we get to Chris. Last week, the Lions played the Niners on Monday Night Football, and the Lions coach came out and said that he was playing to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they did win. The game really meant nothing unless the Vikings would have lost. So, do you think that could play a factor if the Lions do lose and they had a chance to rest some players?
Ooh. No, because I think their mentality the whole year has just been going at it no matter what. And I know that was the thing going into that game, was like, hey, aren't you going to rest the starters since, the game doesn't mean anything? And I think Campbell and them, their mentality is like, no, we're going to play every game, headstrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know other teams, I think, would take a different personality, though. But the Lions, it was different. They got lucky. They got out of there with no significant injuries.
But the Lions, they seem like to be a team where they've had all these injuries, and they've played really well. Most teams, you have these injuries, and they're like, they struggle.
Crumbles.
That too. And I think Campbell's thinking, well, I get through this game. Yeah, I'm playing, my players, but I get through this game. Our team wins. We get to bye. We can rest our players then. And, it's going to be like that for either team. If they're playing their starters, they win, they get to bye. It's going to be worth it to them.
I was talking last week, Chris, when the Monday night game where the Lions and Niners played and really nothing to play for, and the Lions came out saying they're playing everybody, so they weren't resting.
Right. But this game is supposed to be good. I'm picking Minnesota, even though the game's in Detroit, but it's still going to be a fun game, I think.
I hope it's one of those games where the refs don't try to show them up. I hope they let them play fairly. I mean, if there's some outrageous penalties, call them. But I really hope it's not one of those where we get those ticky-tack pass interference calls, the ticky-tack holding calls, the ticky-tack offsides. I just hope the refs don't try to overshadow the game.
The timely ones are the ones that, I think yesterday there was a chance for one of those in the Steeler game. But, yeah, that's what I'm worried about is, like, there's going to be a random holding penalty or Dan Skipper doesn't report eligible again. I know that was a big thing last year for the Lions. Yep. There's always something in the back of your head. You're like, oh, there's going to be a random PI called or something, yeah. Or a legal shift. Well, when
the person doesn't report, that's on them. I mean, that's not on the refs. I just don't want to see the refs, trying to dictate this game and, in those ticky-tack penalty calls. I mean, when it's a mistake on the players on mental, like checking in, that's on the players.
Like the Rams and Vikings, which I think there is a missed face mask call.
Yep. Exactly. Of course, a lot of Mikey fans or non-Mikey fans are saying, "Oh, you guys are just crying," and it's like he spun his head around. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes. What if the penalty upheld? Would the Vikings have had a chance to win? I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, that could have been very severe on Darnold's part and the Vikings season, and the refs just standing there. That's what I don't want. I don't want those obvious calls being missed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It should be a fun game. I guess for other teams, in other divisions, it was a fun game yesterday. As the AFC North, all four teams were in action, starting with the Browns and Ravens. Ravens won that one 35-10. And then surprisingly, Cincinnati won against Pittsburgh 19-17. Pittsburgh has just been falling off the map. Is that a problem for them? Anybody can answer
for
that?
Who?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah. The way that they finished the season with 4 straight losses, their offense is crumbling, literally, and then their defense hasn't been as potent. And that was the big worry about yesterday. That's why I picked the Bengals. They're just not on the same page on both sides of the ball. I think the only thing consistent has been Chris Boswell with his field goals. But that's been it, really. Russ hasn't been able to get out of the pocket and make things happen. That's been a problem. They're probably one and done, depending on who they play. Excuse me, who they play. So they've been scuffling. It's been really bad. The Bengals are just like me today, late, but I'm here and I'm trying to catch up, and I need some help. And I hope they get the help. It'd be very entertaining to have them in over, Denver or Miami. I'd rather have Cincinnati in. You saw the way that they've played the last, several weeks in exciting games. I mean, all year they've been very exciting, but the thing is their defense hasn't been able to step up. But the last 2 or 3 weeks, their defense has been able to step up. And you saw that yesterday with all the sacks on Russ. So, I'm happy for the Bengals, but I hope it means more to see the Bengals. I don't know if it keeps Zach Taylor's job. We'll see. I think he's safe, but they need help defensively. The Raven game, real quick. I didn't get to watch it, but, they won pretty easily. The only thing is Zay Flowers had the knee injury, sprained knee, and he's at risk to miss the wild card game that they're going to have coming up. And then that's really tough there. The Browns, you didn't expect much, starting oh, God, who did they start yesterday? It's a veteran. I forget whom it was, but it was the 40th different starting quarterback since 1999. And it's just crazy to think about that. And the one guy has all the last names on the back of his Tim Couch jersey, and they have to add Winston and the guy who started yesterday. But if the Bengals made the playoffs, they would face the Bills in the wild card. So I really want to see that over Denver and Miami. I really do. Bengals and Bills, they've played some great games over the years lately. So I really want to see that. So wild card Saturday, not wild card Saturday, but week 18 Saturday, it wasn't too entertaining other from the Bengal game, I guess.
Yeah, Big B?
Yeah, I didn't watch too much football, but, seeing the scores, watching the highlights. I mean, of course, the Ravens are the Ravens. I mean, they should have handled the Browns easily like they did. Just, get Zay Flowers healthy, ready to go for the playoffs. The other game, it's a tale of two teams. I mean, you got the Bengals who are solid, just coming up with some luck. Now they need some teams to lose or win to get in. They did their job for sure. But it's one of those things where I don't like the scenario because, you're banking on somebody else's misfortunes to get you into the playoffs. But good luck to them. I'm with James. I hope the Bengals do get in because I'd rather see, them over the Dolphins. I mean, the Broncos, Bo Nix has done a good job. If he gets in, good for him. On the Pittsburgh side, it might be time for a new voice in the locker room. I mean, Tomlin's done it for how many years? He hasn't had a losing season. You got, a lot of coaches said if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. It's like that. They're split down the middle. To some of the people like Russ, to some of the people like Fields. It might just be a time for Pittsburgh to kind of go to the drawing board and let Tomlin walk and just start fresh with a new voice in that locker room because Pittsburgh has had a tough year this year. They look good, they look bad, they looked awful, they look like a playoff contender, look like they're not knowing what they're doing. So I don't see it happening, but if I'm Pittsburgh, I kind of entertain the idea of parting ways with Tomlin.
Parting ways with Tomlin, even though he has a winning record still.
Yeah, I just think it's time for a new voice in there. It just seems like the locker room is split right now, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
that's a possibility, but I'm thinking, the staff in Pittsburgh, the management's like, he's kind of on shaky ground, but he's given us a winning record. So, it's kind of like, what do you do?
It might be one of those things where they all sit down and be like, okay, what direction do we want this team going with Tomlin? I mean, maybe that's what they do. They sit down and maybe they just take the big whiteboard and they throw up some ideas like that scene in what movie was that? Moneyball, where they're all sitting there and Brad Pitt's character is throwing names on the whiteboard and be like, hey, we want this guy. We want this guy. Why? Well, because he has this, so maybe that's something they need to do. Maybe they just need to kind of revamp the team a little bit.
I just wish, like reporters or whoever just go to NFL teams and you can do it anonymously, but what do you look for in a coach? Because everybody's different. So, as far as today's games, first up we got Carolina taking on Atlanta. Big game for Atlanta as they are kind of on shaky ground in the playoffs as the 9 seed, even though there's only 7 teams making it per conference. They just pretty much need to win and Tampa Bay to lose to get that 4th seed. And Carolina's eliminated. So, Big B, who do you got for this one?
You win, Bucks lose, you go from 9 to 4. talk about a team that am I rooting for them to lose? Am I rooting for them to win because of Cousins and stuff like that? I don't know. This should be a win. I mean, we've all seen Carolina. They're struggling. They're another team that needs to kind of go in the room this offseason and kind of look at what they got. Atlanta, Cousins is most likely gone at the end of the year. Penix is doing what he can. I really hope the young guy has a good game, a lot on his shoulders. So I'm going to go with Atlanta, but I don't see them getting in the playoffs. I can't remember who the Bucks play, but yeah, Atlanta.
Tampa faces New Orleans.
Ooh.
So everybody's in the divisional portion of the schedule. It's all division.
Yeah. Okay.
So, you're going Atlanta?
No, I'm going Atlanta.
Uh-huh. James?
Man, if this feels like an Atlanta game to screw up. If Tampa Bay loses, imagine that, and Atlanta loses. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that Penix Jr. and the offensive weapons, they can rebound from last week, that overtime loss against Washington. Okay, I'm going to go Falcons, and I don't think it matters because I think Tampa Bay is going to win anyway. But hopefully Carolina can make it really interesting. Hopefully they can, Bryce Young and them can make it a good ending to the season because they've had back and forth season. But I think Atlanta will win that game.
I'm thinking Atlanta will win that game too. Carolina's been struggling. They've always been struggling, but it's going to be interesting to see what next year holds for Carolina and the Falcons. But I'm going with the Falcons on this one. Washington and Dallas. Washington has something to prove, or something to fight for. The number 6 seed if they win. Yeah, they're already in the playoffs. Dallas has been eliminated. But I guess it's McCarthy's potential final game. Who knows? He'll be a free agent in a couple days, not right away. But teams can talk to him if they want. I'm going.
What?
Huh?
Oh, you just like they can talk to him if they want. I mean,
well, okay, he's under contract till the 14th.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, but it was just how you put it. It was just like,
yeah, no, I got you. Because I've heard back and forth if they're going to keep him, they're not. They are, they're not. So, but I'm going with Dallas on this one. I'm sure they're going to fight for McCarthy if they want him. So, James.
Man, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so Washington has to win to keep that 6th spot because I see they're tied with the Packers. But I think Washington will get it done. They're playing for something. They've had a tremendous year all year long, and they had another great ending last week against the Falcons. Yeah, I'll go with the Commanders. I mean, it feels like these two always in the season in Washington, and I expect this to be the last game for McCarthy. You just can't keep doing the same things over and over again, despite all the winning records you've had with him. You got to do something different. I feel like if you're Dallas, but credit to Washington. Just shocking everyone this year. I hope Dan Quinn gets some Coach of the Year votes. And I'm just wondering who's Rookie of the Year. Maybe it's Jalen Daniels over Bo Nix. We'll see what happens with that. Yeah, but I'm going to go Washington.
I'm thinking that, like, the Rookie of the Years, all of that stuff it feels like it goes to playoff teams.
Yeah.
It kind
I
of
mean,
feels that way.
the one thing Daniels has that Bo Nix doesn't is Daniels. I think has played more games this year. And he's done it since he's gotten in. Bo Nix has taken his time, learned the system, got in there, and has done it good. I think rookie years for sure Daniels. But with that being said, Cowboys got a lot to play for per se. Division game, home game, McCarthy's job. The Commanders, they got to play for that 60, go to the playoffs on a winning note. I got the Commanders in this one, but it would not shock me if Dallas puts up a fight per se. We know how Jerry Jones is on wanting his guys, so this could be one of the things that if McCarthy's back next year, they just couldn't find nobody that wants to work with Jones. I mean, I know there's a lot of rumors that the former Vikings guy there that's doing defensive coordinator, I can't think of his name now, Zimmer is going to be the guy in charge next year. There's talks that they may try to get Sanders in there. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. That's going to be a job that's going to be interesting if it does open up to see where it goes. But, yeah, I got the Commanders in this one.
There's talks of John Gruden maybe interviewing.
Oh,
there's talks of different coaches, so who knows? Bears and Packers, and it kind of goes with this Packers game back to Washington, where if Washington can't win, then they're hoping that Chicago wins this because they needed Green Bay to lose. But I don't know about that. If Green Bay wins and Washington loses, they get the 6th seed. Green Bay does. Or if they lose, they get the 7th seed. So a lot for Green Bay in this game against Chicago. Big B, who do you got for this one?
I mean, part of me, just because I got so many Packer fans in my life, and it's always a joy to watch them lose. I have no doubt that the Packers are going to win this game, but it is a division game. It's the longest rivalry in football. For some reason, the Bears, no matter what year it is, seem to step it up a notch for this game. I don't know if it's just the name. Once you put that jersey on, you get that history. I don't know what it is. But yeah, I see the Packers winning this game. I really hope it's a close one, but I don't see it. But I do see that Williams and the Bears, they're going to put up a good fight. I think they got a lot to build on going forward. So I see the Packers, winning this one. But for some reason, it might be one of those blowout games where it's entertaining for most of it, and somehow we're talking about, man, how did the Packers win by 14 points or something when this game was so close? But, I got the Packers.
James?
Yeah, I got the Packers too. Ever since that Hail Mary, the Bears haven't won a game. And I think I predicted that after that game, the game after, where it just felt like everything went down from there, and it literally did. They fired their coach. They have a intern that won't be there next year. Maybe a GM that won't be there next year.
Intern?
Intern head coach.
Interim. Okay.
Yeah, interim head coach. And
okay.
I'm gonna say Green Bay wins this game, no problem. I just can't trust Chicago. They've had such a bad year after the Hail Mary again. And Green Bay, they're playing for something just in case Washington loses. It's great that this is at the same time. So yeah, I'm going Green Bay.
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay too. Chicago's just been, they've fell off the track of this roller coaster ride, and now they're getting a new head coach and possibly a new offensive coordinator. And I don't think that, person in charge of Chicago this year, as head coach, is going to make it next year. he had to win more games, I'm thinking, to get that spot. But I'm going Green Bay. You have Houston taking on Tennessee, AFC South matchup. Not a lot going on for these two teams. Looks like they're locked up in their spots. So, James, who do you got for this one?
I think Tennessee wins this because Houston is prepping for their loss in the wild card round. So Tennessee's going to end the season on a good note. I believe Mason Rudolph will get the start for Tennessee today. Yeah, Tennessee, whatever.
Big B.
Man, talk about a team in Houston that had bad luck this year. A lot of people had them as their favorite or one of the top three coming out of the AFC. They faltered with injuries. Stroud, fell into that sophomore slump in year two. Diggs just couldn't find his part. Collins has been up and down on the injury report. The defense was supposed to be the cornerstone. Yeah, it's still a pretty good defense. Tennessee, on the other hand, they don't know who they're starting. Like James said, he said it should be Randolph. They're a team that's kind of missing an identity. Thought they had their quarterback Levis. Hasn't panned out. So I gotta stay hot. I gotta stay with my Super Bowl pick. I gotta stay with Houston. With that long shot of them, making me proud of making the Super Bowl. But I know it's gonna be a struggle. But I'm going Houston.
Yeah, I'm going Houston too. That should be a fun, way to end, end the season kind of thing. But you also have Jacksonville taking on Indianapolis, also in the AFC South. However, these two teams have nothing to play for. Both teams are eliminated. I kind of know where everybody's leaning, but Big B, who do you got?
What game was this again?
Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
Oh, yeah. God, can we just see a reverse and have the Jacksonville defense play offense and vice versa, stuff like that? Yeah, this is probably one of the games that, unless you're a fan like Tim, you're not going to watch. Man, I don't even know what to say. I mean, both teams have just struggled. Just their fortunes have not come to wishing, especially Jacksonville. They thought Lawrence was the guy. He hasn't panned out to be. Now they're going with Mac Jones. They got some issues there. I'm going to go. I'm going to ride the pony, and I'm going to go with the Colts.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting if Jacksonville goes with the quarterback this year. I can't remember the draft order, but if you're Jacksonville, do you go with the quarterback? So,
yeah, who knows?
James, who do you got?
I'll go with the Colts, but it would be funny if they lost to Jacksonville. The Colts have been really broken down. I mean, their whole organization has just been just really broken. I mean, there's talk about whatever McAfee said with the organization, the players, no accountability, team meetings being late to. But they would end the year on a good note. I believe Joe Flacco's playing. I don't think Richardson is anymore. He tapped himself out of the rest of the season. I'm going to go with the Colts.
I'm going Colts too. In a game like this and you're undecided, go with the home team. They should win majority of the time. Now I'm going with Colts, and it kind of the same question I asked with Jacksonville. If you're the Colts, do you find a backup again? Do you find another quarterback? Because you're just recycling backup quarterbacks here.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Man, because you got Richardson. You don't want to give up on him. He's still young.
Well,
yeah, he tapped himself out of a game or a play or whatever. That did sit well. I think he's kind of learned from that. I mean, I guess if the money's right, you go with a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's been around the league a while. If it doesn't cost you much, I don't know where the Colts are sitting. I don't think they draft a quarterback. I think that's out, unless by far some fluke a stud drops to him. But I think you go offensive line and stuff like that. So, I think they try to get a journeyman quarterback.
I can see that. James, you seemed reserved on that one a little bit.
I would give up on Richardson. I mean, there's a back injury he's had the last 2 or 3 weeks.
That's true.
But he's out there like McAfee mentioned, he's out there standing out there, and he really shouldn't be out in the cold, like making his back, freeze up. So I don't know if he just gave up on the season or not. Even if he has an injury or not, he shouldn't be out there. I don't know. This year has just been too weird. It feels like they should tank for a quarterback next year and just go with the veteran. I mean, Joe Flacco's right there. I don't know if he's going to retire or not, but I think they should just roll with Flacco, but tank next year, and hopefully there's a stud quarterback in the next draft, because there's not one this year.
Hey guys, before I go, guys, I got a question for both of you guys. I just saw Barkley is officially out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, oh, they didn't want to give him the record and stuff like that. But I mean, he's come out and said that he didn't want to break the record himself. So with Barkley, Barkley to me should be MVP. Is he your guys' MVP? And was this per se the right call for Barkley to sit himself and not chase the record?
Oh, I'll start with that. He's a team guy, and he always stays with that. He's found out what a team is, leaving the Giants, going to the Eagles, and he's playing for more than himself. And I think it's honorable, more honorable than Eric Dickerson has been. I know that he's been different because he talked about, hey, I don't want my record being broken. And others have taken the high road and said, oh, yeah, records are meant to be broken. This was the one time I didn't agree with Eric Dickerson, and I wanted the record to be broken. But I guess it's the right decision because eyes is on the prize. You feel like you could win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl and possibly win the Super Bowl. So there's just more at stake than, possibly getting hurt. There's been 2 games this year where Barkley has hurt himself and had to leave. So just like Big B did. So that's what I'd be worried about. The 2 games that he hurt himself, you were like, oh crap, they really need him. You cannot lose him, because all they would be is one-dimensional, so it's important to have him. So there's more at stake than just that.
Yeah, but if it doesn't work out, say it doesn't work out,
try to do it next year. Try to do it next year.
Yeah, but in a way, he's going to be kicking himself a little bit saying, this year.
Would you rather have a Super Bowl ring, or would you rather have a record that is cool, but you're like, oh man, I got hurt trying to get it, or my focus wasn't on winning and it hurt in the playoffs?
That's true. And I think if it was like he needs 30 yards, we'll just say 30 yards.
See, that's the problem too. If it wasn't 101, if it was like 60 or 50 something, I would have 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends. They have like 4 tight ends, but I would have all those tight ends there almost every damn play, and go. But it's 101, and that's the unfortunate part.
be putting him in a wildcat.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
goal line situation, anything I that can help.
And I would tell him, hey, just go to the sideline.
do.
Don't try to get hit.
That's right. Buffalo and New England. New England's already out. Buffalo, I think they're locked in on their spot.
Yeah, they
But
are.
who do you have for this one?
Okay. The Patriots, check this out. They lose, they get the number 1 pick.
New
I don't
England?
think. Yeah, New England. Which is crazy to say. I mean, this is like 1993 all over again, 92 all over
Yeah.
again.
They do. I'm looking at it. Yeah.
That's if they lose. The Bills, are they sitting out their starters? Do you know?
Don't know.
They should be. They should be if they are. It's the one time where you feel, and Drake May I know is banged up, so hopefully he plays. But I wouldn't be surprised if they just sit him. He's had an okay rookie year, but he doesn't have a lot of talent around him. I'll go with the Bills, but it would be something if the Patriots lost the first pick to the Browns. That would be something. If they
right
lose
now
today.
the Browns have it.
Right. So we'll see if the Patriots, if they just tank, if they know what they're doing, and if the fans are okay with it. Yeah, I'll say the Bills.
I'm going Bills too. I think this is a no-brainer pick in a way. But wild things have happened. So New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles. Again, a game we kind of know where we're going to. James, who do you got?
Yeah, it's a game, nothing to play for. The Giants already screwed themselves like the Raiders, where they had the first pick, but they won a meaningless game. The Eagles, again, they're just waiting for next week. And again, there's more at stake, as we talked about Barkley not playing in this game. And hopefully, Jalen Hurts, though, you got to hope that he comes back next week and he's better. They have McKee playing today. They're starting today at quarterback for the Eagles, and he drew, I think, 1 or 2 touchdown passes. That's pretty cool. Despite all that, I'm going to go Philadelphia. I again really wanted to see Barkley break the record, but there's more at stake.
Yeah, there is. I'm going with Philly, unfortunately. Going back to that Dallas game, Trey Lance is starting.
Ew.
Yeah.
Did Cooper Rush hurt or something?
No.
You just want to see what Trey Lance. This is the time actually where you throw out someone you're trying to trade. You're seeing if he has any value left, and maybe he can show a little something. I know he played against the Eagles at one game in a blowout fashion, and then Cooper Rush picked it up. Yeah, Washington by 20 then.
New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Not much for New Orleans to play for.
No.
Tampa Bay, a lot to play for. Who do you got?
Okay, definitely Tampa Bay. They're playing for something. I know Evans won't get his 1,000-yard record, but unless he really, really goes off. But I expect Tampa to air it out. They have both running backs back. Defense has shown up, and the veteran defense has been really good. They just got to stay healthy, of course. That's been the theme all year. I'm going to go Tampa Bay.
I'm going Tampa Bay, too. Again, kind of like the Philly game. No brainer on, who should win this game. I'm thinking Tampa's going to win it. Evans is going to break that record, by the way.
How much does he need? I didn't even look. I just figured he wouldn't get it because of the time missed. I'm going to look that up.
All right. Next, you got Kansas City and Denver. I believe Kansas City got out of,
Yeah.
their airport.
Needs 85 yards. Okay, he could. He could do it today. He had a breakout game, I guess, last week, and I didn't even know it. Hell yeah, go Mike.
Kansas City at Denver. Kansas City finally made it out of the airport, heading to Denver. Luckily, it's a afternoon game. So,
yeah.
Who do you got for this one?
I was fearful, Chris, that they were going to have to move this game to Monday because of the delay with the Chiefs getting out of Kansas City with the sleet. And this is
Kansas City. They got the first round bye. They're good.
Yeah, they have nothing to play for. Carson Wentz will get the start. Yikes! And I believe what was it? January 7th of last year, he got the start against the 49ers in Santa Clara with the LA Rams last year. And that was his last start.
Today.
Right. I was hoping that would have been, or else I would have used that phrase, but 2 days before. But yeah, Carson Wentz or Prince Harry will get the start for KC. And then Prince Harry, the what's his name over there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Denver is favored by over 10 points. And then I think this is the first time Kansas City hasn't been favored in a long time. Just think about, all the years with Mahomes and then Alex Smith for those couple years. It's just crazy to think about that. So Denver should win this. I hope not, because I really want to see the Bengals get in. So hopefully Kansas City can show up, but I doubt it. I'm going to go Denver, and if they win, they're in, basically. They're going for a lot more. Denver.
So if Kansas City wins, Cincinnati's in?
But Miami has to lose as well, or tie.
We'll get to the Miami here in a couple picks. I'm going Kansas City on this one. But Denver, who knows? They can win this too. I'm not sure the weather situation there in Colorado, but I'm sure it's cold. Chargers at the Raiders, your team. James, for the Raiders. Ugh. Is this Antonio Pierce's final game?
That's the big question, and there's all the speculation. And what's good is that there hasn't been any avocation for
removal.
For any
fire.
No, for any what do you call it? For any admiration to keep Antonio Pierce there. There's nobody giving him any due for next year, basically. So it feels like he's lost the job. It feels like that, which I don't mind. I think he's a glorified cheerleader. He's not an X's and O's guy. Again, there's a reason that Marvin Lewis is there, being the advisory head coach.
Do you think he moves up to coach?
No, I don't think so. No.
Days are over, huh?
I don't even know who the hell they go to after this. Hopefully,
John Gruden.
Oh my God, no! I don't want any. I don't even know anymore. That's what's bad. Is like the off season is bad, and during the season is bad. I'm just happy the season's almost pretty much over. It's been over, but Chargers are playing for the seeding. Of course, they leaped over Pittsburgh with Pittsburgh losing last night, so they got to win to keep that fifth spot, the wild card spot, which I can't believe that the Chargers got that this year. But it's credit to Jim Harbaugh, the defense, and then the running game for the Chargers. And then whenever Herbert needed to pass the ball, McConkey has been tremendous for him. Johnson, whenever he's been able to hold on to the ball. So the Chargers have been doing their thing, sadly. I'm going to say they win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a... No, I think it would be a close, good one. It came down to, I think, 5 points last time in LA. So, I'm going to go with the Chargers. And I'm just happy the season's over. I just want to move on. I would want to move on to like 2 years from now, actually. If there was a sim season, I would love to do that for next year, and then get to the draft 2 years from now, or I'm sorry, not this season's draft, but next year's draft. I just want to get to that draft and see what quarterbacks are out there. The Raiders, again, they messed up the tank with Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward by winning 2 meaningless games in a row coming into today. So they don't even know how to win right. They don't even know how to tank right. And it's just ridiculous, man. 4 wins for nothing. I remember when the Raiders were 2-1. That's how crazy it was. They They were in Baltimore and they beat the Ravens, and it feels so long ago. And I thought they weren't going to win another game after a while, but they won a meaningless 2.
Wait, yeah. Two's better than none. So,
but then you would have the first pick. So
what
yeah,
I'm telling you, that first pick. Quarterback.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
What if
it's not a good class
in the draft?
You trade
with
for
the first pick.
Yeah. Raiders know about trading coaches.
True.
Traded John Gruden to Tampa Bay, and look what happened. Yeah. So yeah, there's no confidence that Antonio Pierce will be back from Mark Davis, the ownership. There's times I wish Davis would sell the team, but yeah, there's no confidence in the coach, and I don't mind that.
I got Chargers in this one again, and we kind of talked about it. Yeah, so Seattle and Los Angeles Rams.
This game has no meaning at all. Everybody's going to sit their starters because the Rams clinched with 3 teams needing to win last week, and the Rams winning, so that knocked out Seattle. So yeah, this game means absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know who's going to win. Probably Seattle's going to win because the Rams are sitting all their starters.
I'm going to go with Rams.
Ooh.
I think that's going to be a fun one as far as like no competition, really. That should be a fun one.
A fun one with no competition.
Well, meaning like there's nothing to prove, nothing to play for.
It's good for the backups, though. Jimmy G will start for LA, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. That's going to be a game for him to see if he can go somewhere else.
Him and Trey Lance have
so weird.
The biggest games in their career for the rest of their career is today. They have to ball out. And if they don't, they're going to be third backups for the rest of their career. I mean, well, Jimmy G's is the backup for Stafford, but it's a big day for those 2 former 49er quarterbacks, which is just crazy to me. It's huge.
Oh yeah.
For the rivals of the 49ers, by the way.
Yeah.
That's just crazy when you think about that. All right.
Dolphins and New York Jets could be Brett. Aaron
Rodgers. Hey, he's gone down that path.
Watch out,
all he needs to do is go to the Vikings.
Yeah. New York Jets could be Aaron Rodgers' final game. Who knows?
Please.
And Tua is reportedly going to be out with a hip injury.
Come on, Denver.
Okay, you're going with the Jets, huh?
No. Well,
yeah.
They played. I know they got the win in Cleveland last week, but the backup did really well. Was it Jacoby Brissett? I can't remember who played for the Dolphins. I think it was. But I think Miami wins this game, sadly. The Jets have just looked bad. I mean, they didn't even show up last week in Buffalo.
They didn't show up this year.
That's true. That's definitely true. I just can't stand the Jets. I mean, I don't even hate them, but I can't stand their mentality all year long. And then all the things that have gone on in the locker room with Tyler Huntley, excuse me, is the starter for Miami. Tyler Huntley, the Pro Bowler that 1 year for the Ravens back in the day. So Huntley did pretty well last week from what I saw against Cleveland, which I didn't see much. But, Dolphins need to win, and then the other two need to lose to get in. It's amazing at 8-8 they still have a shot. What was it? With the Jets, yeah, they're just trying to finish the season on a high note, but I can't even see that happening at all. So I'm going Miami.
I'll go Miami too. And what's interesting too about the Jets is it looks like Rex Ryan is interviewing for the Jets coaching position.
Man,
Reunited and it feels so good. Who knows?
the only thing is, like, okay, if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, who's your quarterback, and then, where are you going to draft, and then, where just where do you go from there? Do you have a team for Rex Ryan? And then I heard Ron Rivera was one of the candidates as well. I just thought that's the worst person you could have almost interviewing.
I'd rather have Ryan over Rivera.
But that's true.
And I think working with ESPN, you would think you have, I wouldn't say connections, but
right across the river.
Yeah, and you can also you have time to, I guess, scout. Hey, ESPN, I want to go to this college game. Okay, you would think. I don't know if that's possible, but
yeah, no, he would watch every game. That's for sure.
So I think he has eyes on the up and coming talent.
Remember, there's no GM right now because they fired Douglas. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. The Jets are just a damn mess.
You could do a Belichick.
Would you give him that? Like, I don't want to give anybody
not the first
ever
year.
Again to be GM and coach. I don't want to ever see that ever again.
Yeah, that's difficult. San Francisco and Arizona, both teams have nothing to play for. Who do you got, James?
Man, I don't even think Brock Purdy should play in this game. Yeah, it's Dobbs playing against his former team. Crap, I don't know. Arizona had a close game with LA last week. San Francisco lost to Detroit. Man, I don't even know. I hope both end in a tie. We haven't had a tie yet this year. I would have hoped this game would be a tie.
We haven't had a tie in a couple years. I don't think.
I can't remember. Arizona, I guess, gets the win today. They end on a high note. They weren't supposed to be where they are. 7 wins. I thought they were going to be like 4 or 3 wins. They've actually improved a little bit. I do want to see Harrison Jr. have a good send-off to his rookie year. He's been really off and on.
How do you think Kyler Murray has done this year compared to other years?
Better,
worse, same.
Better, but man, I don't know if he'll ever break, like he did in 2020 where he was really awesome, 21 where he was good, and then the last years he's been injured, and this year he hasn't been injured at all, or a couple of times where he's been rocked by the defense. But you still have to keep him around because of that big-ass contract. So I think you give it a couple more years and you see if he progresses or not, or if he goes down. And if he does, then I guess you have to cut him. But for now, you have someone that can still run out of the pocket, can still throw really well, and just run. He does so good running. So you got to keep him around. But hopefully the best is yet to come for Murray.
I think so. And we talked about it at the start of the show. Minnesota, Detroit. I think we're all mixed. Or maybe I think we all went Minnesota.
I
It's
went
going
I went Minnesota. I just feel
I did
like
too.
their offense has enough. It might be just like that Buffalo game in Detroit where they just score more points than Detroit, and Detroit's trying to keep up, but they give up more. So that's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
say. I'm gonna go with Minnesota.
I'm going Minnesota. And with that, that's our picks. We talked about latest news around the league, these games, and tomorrow should be fun. News day in the NFL as it's Black Monday. Don't know why they call it that, but they do.
Because it's doom for the coaches, and we could go through maybe who will get fired.
Yeah.
Of course, Antonio Pierce. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then the Jets interim coach, Jeff Ubrick, I think he'll get not brought back, of course. And then think about this, Miami. What the hell do you do with Mike McDonald? Do you keep him around, McDonald? Do you keep him
depends on what
around because
happens.
of the injuries? Or if you win today, you keep him around and you say, hey, because of the injuries, because of the, what has gone on, you won't put the fault on him. Kyle Shanahan is safe with San Francisco, so that's a non-factor. With the New York Jets, with Dable, that's a big thing because Bill Belichick is not available. Oh, yeah, with the New York Giants, both New Jersey teams. Dable is a big name because Belichick isn't out there anymore. He went to Chapel
North
Bill.
Carolina.
The hell? Yep. I don't understand that. But some new for Bill. So that's cool. But with Dable, I hope they give him another shot. Just with, I don't know if the only thing is I don't know what quarterback they're going to get because they messed up their draft status. So I'm interested if they keep Dable around or if they do what the Giants do and just ruin everything. The New England Patriots with Gerard Mayo, they've said the organization has said, if they finish off the year well, we'll keep them around. But if morale is down, which it has been in the locker room, and if they don't finish off the season well, he could be one and done, which would be crazy. And I heard Mike Vrabel, another former Patriot player, could get hired there. And then
that would be wild.
Yeah, I want to go another route. I would go outside of the organization. Jacksonville and Indianapolis, right? So you have Peterson on one side, and you have Shane Steichen, or Schnaken, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
For Indianapolis, these two could get fired tomorrow. I feel like, especially Peterson. I feel like that should have been done a while back. Just expectations have just been lowered, and then with Shane Steichen, it feels like just everything has gone wrong, and then it feels like again no accountability, no nothing. The one thing he said in a press conference, how they said how he answered a question about players being late to a meeting. He kind of sided with the players. It's like, hey, that's gonna happen. It's something you don't really want to say if you're a head coach. It's like, yeah, everybody should be here and be accountable. That's what you should say.
Or he didn't say that. It happens sometimes, but he should be here.
Yeah, he didn't say that though, and that's what
but I'm just
pissed
saying,
everybody off in Indy. So I would think, if they lose and if they lose to Jacksonville too, you got to can him. And then I think Dallas would be the only other one, McCarthy. But of course, that's going to linger into
his contract
this month.
Yeah, he has till the 14th before his contract is expired.
Bingo! I didn't even know that, but I just figured the drama around Dallas would be that.
And that's why I was saying earlier is like, he can talk to other teams. I think starting Tuesday.
Was it the Browns? There was a rumor for Cleveland he would go there. Or was it somebody
That would be
else?
a bad choice.
There was somebody else. Kevin Stefanski, by the way, would be after the loss yesterday. Would he get fired? Zach Taylor with Cincinnati, even though it's not his fault, it's the defense's fault.
Yeah, but if he gets in the playoffs,
you got to keep him around. Yeah. I don't think Tomlin's going anywhere. And then Harbaugh for Baltimore's won 6 divisions in that tough North. He's going to be fine forever. What was I going to say though? In McCarthy, it was the Bears' job, I believe. He was.
I thought of that yesterday. I thought about yesterday. I'm like, well, watch him go to Chicago.
And then they were saying, oh, yeah, there's no merit to that report. But, yeah, those are just some of the coaches that, are probably on the they've been on the hot seat, but some of them will get fired tomorrow. It's not one of my favorite days, but it's just one of those interesting days. Like the day when free agency starts up in any sport, and then whenever coaches get fired, you got to look at the ones that want to get hired on other teams, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators. And, Ben Johnson with Detroit, you have Dorsey, I think, not Dorsey, but someone in Buffalo, their OC is looking to get hired. You have Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota out there. But you just got to wonder if any of them will get hired, and then would they take the job because it's worse than where they are now. That's why Ben Johnson stayed with Detroit.
Yeah, I was going to say, you also got Ben Johnson. But do you go the coordinator route, the former head coach route, or do you go to college?
Just depends what team I'm trying to put together.
Or do you have a resurgence like Cliff Kingsbury?
See, that's another one too. Refresh me. Where is he? Washington, the OC, right? That's the only thing. I wouldn't touch him yet. I would let him marinate there with Washington, right? And let him continue to work with Jalen Daniels and build up his reputation again. And then maybe after next season, if Washington thrives and Daniels thrives, maybe I would look at him. But I wouldn't take him right now. I think he's still getting paid by Arizona as well. So that's the only thing. When these coaches get fired, like we saw with the Sacramento Kings, they still get paid. So it's not like it's done and said and done. They go on great vacations after the season or after they get fired. So
and do you go, former Cowboy offensive coordinator Kellen Moore?
No, I don't think he'll ever get a head coaching job, in my opinion. Where is he at? I forget.
Philadelphia. I just looked it up because
that's right.
And I forgot about that.
I think that's more of having talent than it is Kellen Moore.
Yeah,
I really do.
I agree.
It would help if they win the Super Bowl, or if they go to the Super Bowl. It would help. I wouldn't go. For me, it just depends on what team. Like, let's say with the Raiders, where I need mostly everything, I want like an actual head coach, former head coach, to come in there and just lay out what they did before and how it could help the situation that they go into. I guess that's the way I would go about it. When you have a coordinator, it just feels like, okay, let's say the Bengals fired Zach Taylor, right? I would get Flores because he's a great defensive coordinator, and I would have him work with the defense because the offense, all they need to do is what they've been doing, right? There's no problem with what they've been doing. So in that situation, I would go with a one-sided coach just because they need the help more in that. And then look at for Cincinnati. If that's the last game for T. Higgins there in Cincinnati, because of free agency. I wonder where he goes next year, and I hope he doesn't go to like Tennessee or someone bad. I wish there was a way he stayed with Cincinnati because they're so potent. Their offense, together with Jamar Chase, which I know they'll pay first. Man, I hope it's not the last time we see Cincinnati this year, but there's a lot of denying factors for that.
So ESPN has, they did a segment. I haven't watched it, but of safe or not for the coaches, and I don't know who they picked, but they have on the board Patriots,
What?
Raiders,
What?
Texans,
What?
or Titans. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Jaguars, Giants, Cleveland, and Dallas.
oh! I didn't even think about the Titans, but it's a first year coach, right? So I don't.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been given much, right? They traded DeAndre Hopkins to the Devils, so the Chiefs. So I feel like once I knew that happened, I was like, all right, they're gonna win again. Their defense has been good, but you have Will Levis and Mason Rudolph as your quarterback, and all you have is Tony Pollard. Like that's been the only bright spot for the Titans, man. I don't think they should fire their coach. I think they should keep him around. I don't even know who the coach is. I gotta look that up. But I don't
For
think
which team? I can tell
for
you.
Tennessee.
Tennessee is Brian Callahan.
Oh yeah, because he was one of those OCs, offensive coordinators. Elsewhere, they got a job. You just got to put talent around them, in order to see what he can really coach and bring, right? So I think they should keep him around. I don't think he's lost the locker room at all. It's just a bunch of guys there that won't be there. So eventually they're going to have new players in there and hopefully better ones. But they have to get consistent. That's for sure. Oh yeah, the Bears, by the way, it won't keep the interim head coach. So that's another spot. There's going to be a lot of changes this year. I really believe that.
Huh, I didn't know this. The head coach for Texas, University of Texas, he's gonna have interest in the NFL.
See, that's another thing too. The college, man.
He previously coached in the NFL with the Falcons and your Raiders.
What's his name again?
Steve
Sarkisian. Oh, yeah. Maybe it feels like, hey, this is the furthest he'll get with the Longhorns, but he's gone through a lot with substance abuse, and he's been able to curb that, and he's found a great job there with Texas. I hope he stays there and just continue, even though I don't like Texas, but I hope he continues to just win there. And you have Arch Manning too, so it's like you want to stay there and see how that goes. Yeah, I hope he stays. I don't think he's ready yet for NFL job.
No.
Unless is it a thing where it's like, hey, if you're Harbaugh, like you win it all, so you have to leave because sanctions are coming up. What? But at Texas, there's no sanctions or anything like that. But if you win the championship, you feel like, okay, this is the pinnacle. I would have to leave, but I don't think he would leave if they win or lose.
All right. How many years have the Denver Broncos been in? We'll wrap this up with this.
They haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl in 2015.
No, I know, but I mean, how many years in the NFL have they been around?
1960.
Okay. This is their 1,000th regular season game today.
1,000? That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. So wait, everybody should be at 1,000 who start in the AFL? Or do you count the NFL, AFL stats? I don't know if you count those, but it should be the Raiders.
I think they
It should be the Raiders, the Jets, the Titans, the Chargers, the
Chiefs.
or the other, Dallas Texans, Chiefs.
New York Jets were originally the Titans of New York.
The New York Titans, Titans of New York.
The Tennessee Titans were the Houston Oilers.
Houston Oilers, that's another one. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Because the Bengals and Dolphins, they came in 67 or 68.
Yeah, like the last year. Yeah.
Yeah, so they didn't start off with
Oh, and you got the Colts, I think.
No, Colts were NFL, and then with the merger, them and the Browns moved to
Baltimore.
the AFC.
Yeah. Well, the Colts abruptly moved on.
Yeah.
With that, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I love history, so it's good going through that. Yeah, I'm interested to see the how the NFC South shapes up. I'm gonna watch the Raider game, of course, and see how that ends up, and see if they're actually playing for Pierce, or if it's a foregone conclusion that he would be out. And then, man, I'm gonna take a nap because I cannot wait to watch the Detroit Minnesota game. I cannot wait to see that. It's gonna be fun. And then we get into the games that really matter, and I can't wait to get to the playoff games. I really can't. I am so sick of mediocre football. We've had a lot of bad teams in this league. I'm just happy we're down to the final week of the season, and I'm just happier because also we're going to have later start times for this show. So I can't wait to have that for the playoff games. What was it? We're going to have Saturday, Sunday, Monday for the wild card. So that's going to be interesting. Something to look forward to on Mondays. I just can't wait for the playoffs, and hopefully the Chiefs lose. Hopefully it beats someone else.
I'm hoping so too. It should be a fun day for football. Playoffs are next week. We'll be back for that too.
Go Bengals.
Go Bengals. With that, enjoy your football. Enjoy the nap before the football. And we'll see you guys next week for playoffs. Have a great week.